CYP2C9. CYP2C9 is an important P450 enzyme that plays a role in the oxidation of xenobiotic and endogenous compounds. CYP2C9 is an enzyme involved in drug interactions. The following is a list of drugs involved in CYP2C9. Substrates are the substances on which an enzyme acts. CYP2C9 substrates are AM2201, a synthetic cannabinoid, amitriptyline, also known as Elavil, apixaban, also known as Eliquis, azilsartan, also known as Adarbi, bosentan, also known as Triclear, candesartan, also known as Atacand, carvedilol, also known as Corig, celecoxib, an NSAID, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory, chlorpropamide, clopidogrel, also known as Plavix, cyclophosphamide alkylating agent, dapsone, diclofenac, also known as Voltaren, an NSAID, diphenhydramine, also known as Benadryl, an antihistamine, etidolac, fluoxetine, also known as Prozac, flurbiprofen, also known as NSAID, Fluvastatin, also known as Lescol, a statin medication, formoterol, also known as Foradil, glimepiride, also known as Amerol, which is a sulfonylurea, glipizide, also known as glucotrol, a sulfonylurea, glyburide, also known as diabeta and glinase, ibuprofen, also known as Motrin and Advil, indomethacin, also known as Indocin, irbesartan, also known as Avapro, an angiotensin II blocker, JWH-018, an analgesic used in synthetic cannabis, ketamine, used in anesthetics and painkillers, lornoxicam, which is an NSAID, losartan, also known as Cozar, an angiotensin II blocker, meloxicam, also known as Mobic, an NSAID, mestranol, also known as Noranil, naproxen, also known as Naprosyn, and Aleve, an NSAID, nateglinide, also known as Starlix, olodaterol, also known as Striverdi and Respimat, phenobarbital, piroxicam, also known as Feldene, Persugal, also known as Effient, rosiglitazone, also known as Avandia, sildenafil, used in erectile dysfunction, tamoxifen, used as an anti-estrogen agent, terbinafine, also known as Lamisil, tetrahydrocannabinol, THC found in the cannabis plant, tolbutamide sulfonylurea, torsemide, also known as Demodex, valproic acid, also known as Depakote, voriconazole, also known as V fend. Zafirlocast, also known as a cholate. Xylutin, also known as Zyflo. Minor substrates are Rameltion, also known as Rosarum. Rosuvastatin, also known as Crestor. Sensitive substrates: Celecoxib, also known as Celebrex. Phenytoin, also known as Dilantin. Warfarin, also known as Coumadin. An inducer is a molecule that starts gene expression. CYP2C9 inducers are: moderate inducers are carbamazepine, also known as Tegretol. Strong inducers: rifampicin, a bactericidal; secobarbital, a barbiturate. CYP2C9 weak inducers: aprepitant, also known as Emend. Bosentan, also known as Treclear. Phenobarbital, St. John's wort. CYP2C9 inducers, class uncertain. Peginterferon alpha 2b, also known as Pegentron. Rifapentine, also known as Priftin. Tocilizumab, also known as Actemra. Tumor necrosis factor inhibitors: adalimumab, also known as Humira. Certolizumab, also known as Cimzia. Etanercept, also known as Enbrel. Golimumab, also known as Simponi. Infliximab, also known as Remicade. An inhibitor is a gene whose presence prevents the expression of some other gene at a different locus. CYP2C9 inhibitors are CYP2C9 strong inhibitors, fluconazole, also known as diflucan; miconazole, an antifungal; Amentoflavone, a constituent of ginkgo biloba and St. John's wort; Sulfafenazole, an antibacterial; Valproic acid, an anticonvulsant and mood stabilizer; apigenin. CYP2C9 moderate inhibitors: Amiodarone, also known as Cordarone; Fluvoxamine, also known as Luvox; miconazole; oxandrolone, also known as oxandrin; voriconazole, also known as V-Fend. CYP2C9 weak inhibitors: capecitabine, also known as Xeloda; sulfamethoxazole, also known as Bactrim and Septra; etravirine, also known as Intelens; Fluvastatin, also known as Lescol; imipramine, also known as Trophanil; metronidazole, also known as Flagyl; tigecycline, also known as Tigesil; voriconazole, also known as V-Fend; Zafirlukast, also known as a cholate. CYP2C9 inhibitors, class uncertain. Fenofibrate, which includes Antera, Phenoglide, Lipofen, Lofibra, Tricor, and Triglide. PL states mild to moderate inhibitor. Fenofibric acid, also known as Trilipix. PL states mild to moderate inhibitor. Fluoxetine, also known as Prozac. Neteglanide, also known as Starlix. Cyclazine antihistamines, an H1 receptor antagonist. Promethazine antihistamines, H1 receptor antagonist. Chloramphenicol, fenofibrate, a fibrate. Flavones, flavonols. Fluvastatin, a statin. Fluvoxamine, an SSRI. Isoniazid, used in the treatment of tuberculosis. Lovastatin, a statin. Phenylbutazone, an NSAID. Probenecid, a uricosuric. Sertraline, an SSRI. Sulfamethoxazole, an antibiotic. Tenipicide, a chemotherapeutic agent. Voriconazole, an antifungal. Zafirlukast, a leukotriene antagonist. Quercetin, an anti-inflammatory. Remember, if you have any concerns, please contact your practitioner